For exclusive podcasts and more, sign up at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
A little rusty. Hold on. This week's Law & Order Marathon winner is Brianna Cooper of Indianapolis, Indiana. Brianna will get a marathon decal showing she watched 26.2 hours of her favorite crime show. To be next week's winner, sign up at lawandorderpodcast.com.
I'm Kevin Flynn with Rebecca Lavoie and Sarah D. Bunting, and these are their stories.
You think you know who did it, but you don't know who did it. Law and order, law and order, law and order. It's no ordinary police procedural, baby. It's the FNOG of police procedurals, baby. Law and order, law and order, law and order, law and order. These are their stories, these are their stories.
Welcome to These Are the Stories, the podcast about network TV's most enduring crime franchise and the real-life cases that inspired their shows. I'm Kevin Flynn. Each podcast will break down an episode from either Criminal Intent, SVU, or Original Recipe, and today we're looking at Special Victims Unit, Season 2, Episode 20, Pique.
Is that what happens to all you people here, huh? The sex police, sex on the brain? Well, my mother never touched me like that.
You were 6 years old and still sleeping with Mommy? What'd she say to you, Jason? Did you have nightmares so you should sleep with her, keep the monsters away?
Can we stop?
Joining me to do just that is true crime author and the host of Crime Writers On and Netflix's You Can't Make This Up podcasts, Rebecca Lavoie. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello, Kevin. I thought it was a Pique, like the fabric. It's
with
not.
No, it would have to have like a little
Okay.
accent
I'm just saying,
or something.
I know.
Yeah.
I worked retail, so I was like, Pique.
No, jeez. Sounds like a fine wine.
It's all about polo shirts. What could be bad?
Yeah, they're wearing those shirts from Land's End. Pique.
Yeah, it's not that. And rounding out our panel, setting the record as our first 6-time returning guest.
Shit.
At least that I have stopped counting after a while. It is from the Extra Hot Great podcast, Sarah D. Bunting. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. It's lovely to be back with you guys. And also, I hate you both. Never talk to me again. This episode, oh God.
So, Sarah, the chess pieces are all in place. And I'm wondering what your official position is on Benson Stabler getting together.
I'm not about it.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
about
saw Cheers
it.
and Moonlighting, and you said that's going to mess the whole thing up.
Well, and I also just didn't get that chemistry from them. I'm still mad that she broke up with internal affairs guy, Tucker. And then
He's dead,
Bunker.
though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what happens when you break up with Benson, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You die.
Man, Tucker, it's like, who would have thought, like, you have to wait till 2022 to realize Tucker was the hero all along?
I liked Tucker. I thought they were cute together. Didn't they like go to Paris together and stuff?
But you're
They
like,
did.
Tucker, why are you getting on their back for beating up that suspect? Well, now we know.
Because it wasn't okay.
It wasn't okay.
Yeah.
Like, God forbid someone hold these guys accountable.
I know. That's why he's the hero.
Right.
Also, he was hot, and he and Hargitay had crazy chem, I thought.
Yep. Yep.
But if Babler scenes are subtracting Noah scenes, then I will grudgingly submit,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't have a choice. They don't listen to me.
Oh, yeah.
I think they should just bring back Harry Connick Jr. and just like, remember, like
yeah.
the first
Yeah.
second he was on screen, she
Yeah.
like took off her
She
pants.
dropped her panties. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like
yeah.
seriously, they had chemistry. They really did. And
Yeah,
I was
they
pissed when
did.
they broke up so quickly. So I think
She and
that's where
Brower
it's at.
had chemistry.
Yep.
That never went anywhere, but it should have.
She and Cassidy had more chemistry. I mean, I actually
Oh,
think
yeah.
she and Stabler, I think they have chemistry. That being said, it's like what the idea that they have to be together and they can't just be like BFFs. Like that's like what? Like why? Like why?
It's because the fandom demands it.
I think Rollins and Carisi, like,
Or put her with a lady.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the Rollins and Carisi thing is so lovely, and like we don't need another one.
No. Because as soon as you get married, you get kicked off the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
What if they had sex and it was just like fucking awful, and then that was that?
I guess that would settle it, right?
Yeah, you're so tiny. I had no idea. All right, there's that. Moving
sorry.
on.
This explains a lot.
I may be tight, but I'm not Kathy Stabler
That's
type.
right. You can email me at littledickenergy@getalife.com.
Now let's take a look at the first half of this episode. Special Victims Unit, Season 2, Episode 20, Pique. A woman is stabbed in the back, raped from behind, her body left in the most cinematic New York waterfront location that the crew could find on short notice. The victim is Veronica Ronnie Tandy, an HR employee at a video game company. Her autopsy reveals she was pregnant, a fact her husband did not know.
She was only 7 weeks along. Maybe she was waiting for the best time.
Or she may have decided to terminate, or it wasn't his.
Is your gut telling you that the grieving husband raped his own wife and then brutally shivved her?
No. But if she was having an affair with somebody who decided they weren't interested in continuing the relationship.
Well, let's find out if we need to establish paternity.
Co-workers say Ronnie had one good friend, Jason Mayberry, the former security guard. Benson and Stabler learn Jason is waiting to hear from the police academy. Besides being crazy, the director says they won't be admitting him because Ronnie withdrew her letter of recommendation after she fired him for using the security cameras to zoom in on women's boobs. Jason's new boss reveals that he's been telling coworkers Ronnie is his girlfriend, and other than using words from the hoity-toity thesaurus, his rich mother Grace is no help. The detectives get advice from a new face, Dr. George Huang of the FBI, suggests only Elliot interrogate Jason because, man stuff. Stabler convinces the wannabe cop to help brainstorm suspects in the case. After baiting him with a steady stream of misogynistic comments, which came very easily for Stabler, Jason admits that he hated Ronnie for pulling her recommendation. He lets it slip that he knew she was pregnant. He says she was the romantic pursuer and said before her death she would fix it with the academy if he slept with her. All right, in our fifth appearance only in the series, we have Warner, and she's starting to find her footing as the Elizabeth Rogers of this series. We just see her pulling a heart out and showing it to Stabler like the evil huntsman in Snow White.
External examination found no traces of semen. Further testing showed spermicides usually found in condoms.
This is fun.
Nobody in that room is wearing a mask, which is disgusting because there are fluids flying everywhere during an autopsy.
Well, who knew Warner was the original anti-masker?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, keep a corpse from getting germs, like in an operating room.
Yeah.
But you do have to protect yourself from the flying fluids. That is a thing I learned from reading Kay Scarpetta books. It's like the only thing I learned from reading Kay Scarpetta books.
Well, it's not like the dead body's a chicken Kiev and it's gonna...
Well, you're literally using a saw, hon,
Oh, yeah,
to I mean, come on, that Y incision, it is not delicate.
No.
So Ronnie works at at CompuGame Software because game nerds all want to be employed in Manhattan, where it's super cheap to live. You can tell it's not real because there's no foosball table, there's no full-time barista. It's bullshit. Who wants to go there?
There's girls there. I mean, and also the
First
names that this franchise comes up with for fake companies are Chef's Kiss, CompuGame, Microface, Faceplace,
Yes.
Face Union, yeah.
Universe. Bless.
This actually wasn't the golden era either of PC gaming. This was like console game era, right? The year 2000. Like I asked you, I'm like, what year was this episode from?
I don't know. They're playing Donkey Kong or something.
But that was why I asked, because they were like gaming software. And I'm like, gaming, that's like a, like that's
I want to know. I'm an adult. I haven't asked for, something for my ColecoVision since the 70s.
This was like Sega Genesis era, though. It really was.
Yeah. I think if you can get a girl, you don't need to be a full-time video game operator, right? Look, I do love it that the head of the police academy is like walking around thinking that they have very high admission standards.
Mayberry passed the written, just barely passed the physical. Not exactly buff, but hell, we need the bodies.
He passed the psych exam?
No, not even close. Profile skewed towards aggression during stress.
I thought that was normal.
Not at those levels. We already have plenty of cops on the street with excessive force complaints in their files.
Well, we think he might use excessive force, so he's just going on the maybe list.
Yes. And he's like, we have enough of those in the street already.
We got enough of those.
Yeah, you do. You do. You sure do.
It's like we would have taken him, but this letter of recommendation was withdrawn.
Here's
So
my question. You guys all know you have those guys on the street. You're just standing around talking about it. You're not doing anything about it. It's just like coffee conversation. We got plenty of guys out there beating people up. We're just talking about it. Blah,
Well, yeah, and
blah,
Benson's
blah,
like,
blah.
well, that's good, right? I mean, we wouldn't have Stabler otherwise, right? And the guy's like, well, there's limits. Hello, lawsuit.
it's different if you're part of an elite squad. Then sure. Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, we had to remove the guy from the academy just as he was learning all those illegal neck holes. So let's take a look at our cast. We have a Hey, It's That Guy.
Hey, it's that guy.
Who is playing Mr. Jason Mayberry?
Look, I sent her thank you flowers. It's a come on. I hailed her a cab. She's asking me to have drinks with her. You know, she's pregnant. She shouldn't have been drinking.
Lowe the lesser? Mr. Chad Lowe.
Chad Lowe, the lower low.
The lower low. The lowest of the low? Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, best known as Rob Lowe's brother.
And Becca's boyfriend from whatever that show was called.
Life Goes On.
Life Goes On, yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to argue that it's Rob who is the lesser low, the lower low, because Chad actually has won an Emmy Award, unlike Rob.
Yeah, but Rob's hot. I mean,
well,
which one would you rather be? Let's be which one would you rather?
Would I rather be?
Which Lowe would you rather be? Answer me right now.
Not Chad Lowe.
Exactly. I mean, say what you want about Rob and how you ever think of Rob, but you pick one of those. Pick one of those guys. You do not want to be Chad.
No, it's like being Eli Manning, right?
Oh, poor Eli. He did all right. He did all right, Pats fans.
Yeah, but he got that busted face.
Get that busted face.
Oh my God.
He does have more rings than Peyton, so it's kind of it's on the nose.
That's
but he
true.
wasn't in those awesome commercials. Chicken parm, you taste so good, which I love so much. My husband made me a mug. I will say this for Chad. He realized that he had to lean as far into his non-Robness as possible. So this is like the end of a period where first he was kind of a creepy sort of spectrum guy on ER. And then he was a super rich, like pre-Zuckerberg on Melrose Place of all things. And then that didn't end up working out, even though he had really good chemistry with Laura Layton, in my opinion. Then there's this, which I mean, well, we'll talk about it, but the commitment, like, I guess he just figured, like, if I'm not going to be Rob, I'm going to be just the absolute antithesis of Rob. And I mean, he does it. He's gross.
You know what's weird about him? It's like when I first saw him in My So-Called Life, it's like, oh my God, that's Rob Lowe's brother. Doesn't look anything like Rob Lowe. But then occasionally he does.
Yeah.
Like he's like in this episode, like when he leans out the door, you're like, oh my God, he looks just like Rob Lowe. But in a weird, like shadowy way where you're like, oh my God, poor Rob.
Yeah. I mean, just missed. It's like millimeters on the cheekbones, and he's just a little too short and weedy looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So close. Last year, Chad Lowe met Chad Lowe. He connected on Twitter with another Ohio native named Chad Lowe, who's also a Cincinnati Bengals fan. And one's handle on Twitter is Chad Lowe, and the other is The Real Chad Lowe. And can you guess which one had the blue check mark?
Oh, shit. Chad Lowe.
Yeah, it wasn't the real Chad Lowe. However, now for $8, they both have blue check marks, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So on screen, Chad Lowe is known for Life Goes On, Pretty Little Liars. He also played John Denver in the John Denver Story.
Oh.
Though I think his most dramatic role was crying like a bitch baby watching his ex-wife Hilary Swank get her Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a Hey, It's That Girl.
Hey, it's that girl.
Can you name the actress playing the mother, Grace Mayberry?
Is that Lois Lane herself, Margot Kidder?
The late Margot Kidder, yes, best known as Superman's slam piece, Lois Lane.
I don't like cryptic conversations. they require a prevaricating nature, which I do not possess. So either you tell me what this is all about, or you can locate Jason using whatever means you have at your disposal.
She also played Kathy Lutz, the homeowner who makes poor choices in real estate in the Amityville Horror. Which that house was near you, right?
Sure was, just a few miles from where I grew up. Yep.
Explains the flies. So we know that Margot's life was difficult. She died by suicide in 2018. She had been in a car accident that left her partially paralyzed for 2 years. And by the mid-90s, she really had been ignoring her bipolar diagnosis. And she had a very highly publicized manic episode in which she was found in someone's garden, her hair all cut off with razor blades, her dental work removed, saying that she'd been attacked and she didn't know what happened. Like, no cap. Does this not sound like the inspiration for what happens to Kathleen Stabler?
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, except she ends up in somebody's shower.
Something like that, yeah?
Yeah, like someone finds her in their shower. Yeah.
That there's like in the backyard on the swing or something goofy.
They find her in their shower, her undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the daughter. Yeah. And because that ends up becoming like the way to sew up all of like the stuff that she did when she was a kid to make everyone feel better about it.
Right. Do you know what precipitated this mental crisis for her? She had been working for 3 years on an autobiography, and her laptop crashed, destroying 3 years worth of work.
I can relate.
I know, right?
I mean, this is a very, very, very sad story. That being said, who cannot relate to that kind of trigger? It literally happened to me this week where I had to redo a whole day's worth of work. Yeah. And I came into your office with tears in my eyes.
I would try to strangle somebody, yes.
And then you did that thing that made it worse where like, I 100% knew I had lost the work. I had already done all of the things. And then you came over and you were like, let me just try. And I was like, no. I know it's gone.
Sarah, I'd be like, you fucking geek. The geeks come here and fix it. The geek in the geek squad. Margot appeared in the 2000 religious film Apocalypse 3, Tribulation. It's about the end times and the rapture. And she said she didn't realize until she wound up on set that it wasn't a comedy.
Was Kirk Cameron in it?
I don't know.
I was just going to ask that. I assumed.
Probably. By the way, when I watched this episode, I couldn't believe it wasn't a comedy either.
Yeah. By the way, she looked great in this episode.
She did.
Yeah, I think she may have been brought back to Smallville as sort of a work fair program.
Work fair. Welfare to work. Jesus. Anyone know the actress playing Charlene, the secretary at the office?
It's not fun to get fired. Besides, the department heads make the final cuts. Don't shoot the messenger, you know.
Really, Rebecca? You didn't know? You didn't pick her up? That's Keisha Sharp. She was Monica on Girlfriends.
No, I didn't.
I love that show.
I do love that show, but I didn't recognize her from there, no.
Oh, all right. Well, she was...
By the way, when I'm watching Girlfriends, I'm too obsessed with the fact that Tootie is wearing all the leftover clothes from Fran Drescher from The Nanny. They literally, by the way, reused all of Fran Drescher's wardrobe from The Nanny for that show. It's wild.
Wow.
Look it up.
Hey, that's great. She also played Gigi in Are We There Yet? And Trish in the TV series Lethal Weapon. She's currently playing the ship captain in Titanic 666.
What's that?
Well, here's a review from IMDb. Looks like high school kids made this. She was also in the classic horror movie Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood.
Ooh.
Well, with the as THA. Honest question, no cap. Why do they keep stealing his gold? 6 movies to learn.
Also, yeah. I mean, is the Leprechaun known for being from the Hood? Is that? You're Irish. Tell me, Kevin.
No. No. I'm afraid of the language the Leprechaun would have used if he went to the Hood. Anyone know who's playing Judge Riddendorf?
Although I'd like to agree with you concerning custody, I'm on a slippery slope, and I'd rather err on the side of caution. The confession is out.
That same guy who's in all of the episodes playing that same judge?
Yeah, that's Harvey Atkins. 22 Law & Order Universe appearances. He has the trifecta. You might recognize him because of that bushy mustache. for his 100 episodes as Sergeant Coleman on Cagney and Lacey. No, of course not. But maybe you
remember.
remember.
It was on CBS. I never watched that channel.
Maybe you remember him as Morty, the camp director from Meatballs? The guy with the bucket hat, always being upstaged by Bill Murray and Chris Makepeace.
Oh, yes.
Wherefore art thou, Chris Makepeace? Sarah, you recognize somebody from the cast that you wanted to point out?
Bruce McVinney as the outraged widower who definitely was going for a guest Emmy nod.
It's a mistake. My wife isn't here.
McVinney left like a face print on the autopsy window. He was so distraught. He like threw himself at that window like a dying bird. It was incredible.
Did
you see that?
He's like, I'm going to have the second most unhinged performance in this episode.
It is a shame that he's so underutilized in this episode. He had 2 great scenes and then he disappeared. Like, I really wished we'd gotten to see more of him unraveling. I really liked it. Yeah. I really enjoyed his grief, I guess is what I'm saying. I enjoyed his grief.
He's like a tertiary bad guy usually, or like a red herring, sort of like he doesn't want to talk to the cops because he did something else that was merely a misdemeanor, and then he like departs.
Lastly, can you tell me who's playing the defense attorney, Milton Schoenfield?
Constitutional violation. My client asked for a lawyer and was denied access.
That's Rob Bartlett, 6 Law & Order appearances, longtime Broadway actor. He spent 31 years as a sidekick on Imus in the Morning.
Oh, good for him.
Well,
yeah.
More for him.
He's good for him for getting out, I guess. He and a teenage Eddie Murphy were 2/3 of a comedy trio called The Identical Triplets. Eddie Murphy then auditioned for Saturday Night Live, and that was the last he saw of Eddie Murphy.
Sounds about right.
Okay, so originally they suspected the husband because Ronnie hadn't told him about the baby. But before she died, she ordered him a camcorder that had a note attached announcing she was pregnant.
Yes.
Read the card, detective.
Mr. Tandy, I had to do
Just read it!
For baby Tandy number 4, shoot till you drop. Love, Ronnie.
She bought the camera for a new baby. Wasn't having an affair.
Honey, I want you to always remember the magic of having the UPS delivery driver tell us the news.
Does Warner and the cops not know how pregnancy works? Like 7 weeks literally means that baby is like, it's not 7 weeks old. It's like they count from when you like were supposed to have your last period starting, right? So that baby is like not even like, it's not they say fetus. It's like,
It's like a large lump of bad caviar at that point.
It's completely like when you wouldn't have told your spouse yet because she would have just figured it out like 4 days ago. She may not even have known yet herself.
Also, this is McVitie and Mrs. McVitie number 4, right? So not that every pregnancy with each woman is the same, but after 3 of them, like, you know, she's rolling out of bed like, you don't notice? You don't put it together? 4th time's the charm?
Yep.
Okay. But I mean, only on TV because you got to give him the big moment where he's like, how dare you? And then also in the box is a glove that he can like throw on the ground to be like, I challenge you to a duel. Like, okay, everybody just
pistols at dawn.
Settle down. Yep.
Yeah. So based on the romance of the camcorder announcement, the gender reveal is going to be a cameo from Mike Piazza. It's going to be like 2 balls. It's a boy.
I don't even get the joke, but I like it.
All right. So, by the way, for the first time in the series, they bring in Huang.
Bring in Huang. He's not wrong. Bring in Huang.
And he's an asshole right off the bat.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So they were obviously trying to write a different character than he ended up being on the show in this appearance, right?
Yep.
Detective Stabler should do this alone.
Excuse me?
Your man has a problem with women. If this is your guy, he's never going to open up to you.
All rapists have a problem with women. I'll sit this one out, but you're not telling us anything new, Doctor.
The man who did this is extremely shy and frequently excited. He attacks women from behind with yoking and frottage. He graduated to rape and murder.
This is what it seemed to me. Like the character that they had written for him initially was like a real weird, quirky, almost like Hannibal Lecter-y, like prescient, guy who just knows things, like sort of like a D'Onofrio-esque.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
And it is so off-putting and strange, especially like with the Huang that we come to know. I'm watching this, I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? I mean, it's very clear, right? That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I think that they definitely wanted to point up that whole like territorial Egghead loves his profiling bookie wooks written by Robert Ressler. Like even his glasses are like
stupid
or just like confrontational. Like they're just trying to put him at odds with NYPD. And it's like, you both suck IRL. So like girls, you're both shitty. But I didn't realize that he didn't show up until this late, until the end of the second season. And I also didn't realize how much I miss him and Tamara Tooney on the show, because now I just feel it's like everyone taking it personally, and, you know, like, here's a PSA about looking both ways before you cross the street featuring Noah. And the show actually has bounced back a little bit in the last couple seasons, but like old school Kragen, Huang, I miss that guy. And he, as time went on, got more informative and also like bitchy and would give much more pushback to the cops. But here, like everything from his glasses frames to his little sweater, like they were definitely going for something, and the actor was like not entirely about it or was not being directed in a productive way, but it was really like weird.
Sarah, his lines were literally "the rapist is shy." I mean, it was a super fucked up set of dialogue he was given to read here.
The knife represents his penis. That was where I was like, yeah, we know. We've been watching this show for like the show is old enough to rent a car. We know. We got it.
But later on, he instructs Stabler to get nasty to draw out Jason's hatred of women.
How long you been married? 16-year sentence. 16 long, dry years.
Any kids?
Too many. Creditor just called. I'm in hog up to my ass. My wife shops, and if I take away her credit cards, she don't give me any.
Stabler goes in, he calls his wife a slut who took his manhood and trapped him with the pregnancy, and women victims are asking for it. And Huang is like, hey man, you didn't have to turn it up to 11. And he's like, hey man, that's a Stabler 4.
Stabler's like, my wife spends too much money and I have too many kids.
And it's been so dry.
And I'm like, true?
That's right.
True. I mean, I don't know about the spending part.
Yeah.
That came real easy to him.
Sometimes you don't have to dig too deep, Sarah, to find the character.
Oh, maybe that was just the actor resenting having to do storylines about his stupid offspring.
I'm telling you, though, they do have too many kids. They do.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
They're Catholic. They can't use all the condoms that they find later on. You know? By the way, Jason goes from saying that he rebuffed Ronnie's advances to getting sexually blackmailed by her. And she told him to meet her for this tryst in front of Crazy Bob's store.
His prices are not sane. This is another example.
Man, what preheats a woman's oven more than a window full of luggage, off-brand VCRs, and CB radios? Let's do it here, baby.
I do feel like people not from the tri-state area will not understand the shittiness of that reference, Crazy Eddie reference. It's so bad. It's so bad. Like the writers' room people are just like punking each other at this point with the off-brandness, right?
Brutal.
It's like buying ice cream from Schmarvell.
They could have met in front of any place in New York.
32 flavors. Okay.
We're going to go get a biscuit puss from Schmarvell.
Biscuit puss. Oh. Man.
Fudgy the fish from
Fudgy the
Schmarvell.
I was going to go with Fidgy the whale, but sure.
Oh, man. I read about that on Face Union.
Oh.
All right, now let's take a look at the second half of this episode. While Stabler continues interrogating Jason, Benson searches his small apartment. Instead of a knife, she finds a jar of bloody hatpins. Olivia then questions Grace Mayberry about why her clothes are in Jason's laundry.
We have dinner. Sometimes we go to the theater. And after that, it is too late for me to drive home. So sometimes I spend the night. All of which is none of your business.
It's an awfully small apartment for overnight guests, Mrs. Mayberry. Where do you sleep?
Jason asks for a lawyer, but keeps on talking. He says the baby was his, and Ronnie was going to leave her husband for him. Meanwhile, Cragen and Huang connect the bloody hatpins to a series of reports of women getting jabbed in the ass, a form of piquerism. After being confronted with the fact that he's been sleeping with his mom, Jason falls to the floor and says, "I'm a dirty widow boy." At an evidentiary hearing, a judge rules Stabler should have given the suspect his lawyer, and the confession is thrown out. They need the murder weapon, and Cabot convinces New Jersey authorities to let them search Grace Mayberry's mansion for the knife. When Benson and Stabler arrive, they discover them naked in bed. Jason has just stabbed his mother to death with the missing knife, declaring, "I'm not a widow boy anymore." Man, for a guy who may not be getting a lot of sex, he surely stocks up on a lot of boxes of condoms.
Yep, for his mom.
Damn.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Looks like Jason wears a condom every day.
Damn.
By the way, isn't his mom probably menopausal? Just saying. What are those condoms for?
Well, he wants to be responsible while he's
with his mom.
Jesus Christ. Well, you know what the baby would be like. But think of all the condoms there. It's like he's taking cigarettes into the Soviet Union.
I have so many questions.
All right, you go ahead.
Her clothes were in his apartment, her silk blouse. Is he getting her dry cleaning? What is happening? Why doesn't he have a nicer apartment if she's staying there? She's obviously very rich. Don't you have so many questions about the logistics of this whole situation?
Well, why does he have his own place? Like the whole, I mean, there's the Piquerism and then there's the momerism that I just feel like this was one too many things. Take one thing off, not Margot Kidder silk blouse, please.
By the way, they find all those condoms. Where did they find all the bananas that he's been
practicing
with? Yeah.
What is going on with the running gag with this lurch height dude who finds the hat pins on the roof practically because he's 6'8"?
The hat pins weren't in the scope of the search warrant.
They were in plain view, Your Honor.
Hardly. The box was kept in a high cabinet. Or will the people try to tell me that someone in the search team was 7 feet tall?
They should have just paraded him in and been like, aha, Judge, see? In plain sight. You should bring that guy on every fucking search. Bring him on every search.
Yeah. Kareem, come in here for a minute.
Akeem Olajuwon, thank you for joining the police department.
Oh, no.
Gotta do something in the off-season, yeah. Meantime, Cragen shows off these dagger-length hat pins used in a series of prick attacks. He shows them to Huang, who says, "Piquerism. I just didn't see it."
Piquerism.
The murder was piqueristic, and I just didn't see it. He derives excitement from stabbing women's flesh.
6 victims walking in a crowd suddenly attacked from behind and stuck with hat pins in the buttocks and back. And not one could ID her attacker.
It fits his profile.
But Cragen knows what piquerism is too.
Yeah.
Ever heard that word before, guys? Ever?
Yeah, but Huang is making it all about him. It's like, oh, I should have known. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
How did I not see this?
How did we not see it? Apparently, piquerism is a very commonly known
Foolish
thing.
members of an elite squad.
Right. I mean, and then he reacts as though it's like, oh, a rare kind of pathology for my collection, and then stops just short of tenting his fingers. Like, does someone want to direct this poor man? Please.
This poor Tony Award winning, famous actor before he came into this stupid part, man.
Yeah. He does have a good line when they were asking about whether Jason might have got rid of the knife, and he says,
He suffers from piquerism, counselor. That knife represents his penis. It is not disposable.
Unlike Stabler's, which apparently is. All right, enough kids. You're not going to need that. So you can't spell Oedipus without us. Chad Lowe has been playing it like a shy, put-upon man, and then all of a sudden, he becomes the Joker, dropping to the floor with this, oh, I'm a bad boy kind of stuff.
I'm a dirty little boy. I can't keep my hands to myself. You lying boy. Don't look. Oh, look. Oh. Don't touch. Touch me. Oh.
I'm kind of thinking he likes being a little dirty boy. The way he's all like happy and he's got his finger to his lip like he's going.
You're not wrong. This is the thing. This is the creepiest and weirdest performance. One of them, top 3 I've ever seen in the show. And it is imminently mockable for that reason.
It's just it's so over the top. I was watching this in the living room. Usually I spare my husband, an actor, the experience of preparing these episodes. But he was walking through, I wasn't expecting him to be home. He was walking through the living room. He became becalmed by the over-the-top indicating. And when Chad, the Lower, like swoons to the floor and is just doing all of this business, capital B, with his fingers in his mouth, and then it just kept going.
Yes.
And Dan, my husband, turns to me and is like, what podcast is this for? And I said, these are their stories. And he's like, but I thought they liked you. Aren't you friends with them? And I was like, here's the thing. I feel that there are certain episodes that they're like, who else is going to tolerate this material? Yep. Chester Lake episodes and Chad the Lower. So
it's the grossest scene I think I've ever seen on the show, and that is saying something.
We couldn't look directly at the screen.
Nope.
Awful.
We have watched people literally being sexually assaulted on screen on this show. This scene is less watchable than all of those scenes on this show.
It's because you're a dirty little girl.
So uncomfortable. You can feel the character to messing. It's like, I can't.
Okay,
Yeah.
you just made it worse.
Yeah.
You're
I gotta tell you,
welcome.
though,
Happy holidays.
He's glistening.
Yeah, I can kind of see what his mom sees in him.
He's turgid.
He's turgid. By the way, nothing will make a guy go from 6 to 12 than making bail and going home to fuck his mom.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, he is a filthy, lying bastard.
He is. Mom was found on her stomach, so you know the way she likes it.
Oh, God.
I didn't know you were Greek. Okay.
These are fictional people. You didn't say that at the beginning of the episode.
People, if you don't know, they're fictional people. No one is crying for Chad Lowe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go in, they find Mom dead, Chad Lowe on top of her with the bloody knife. They're both naked. I think I speak on behalf of all the detectives that they're glad they didn't show up 15 minutes sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I told her I'm not a little boy anymore.
The one good thing about this scene, two good things. First of all, it was the end of the episode and I could go do a flea dip in Lie. And second of all, Hargitay to this day has these reaction faces where it's just like the letters WTF are like scrolling down her face. It's just this like, what the fuck? And this was peak Hargitay, what the fuck face. And I'm here for it. And I agree.
I always wonder, you know how like that thing that like some soap opera actor said one time where it's like the thing that they have to do, those long reaction shots they have to do where they cut the scene and then it's coming back to them and they do the thing where it's like, did I leave the oven on? I always wonder like what's Hargitay's? Like what is the thing she is thinking with the, oh my God, I'm so disgusted. What the fuck? What is she thinking? Like what is her inspiration?
Is
Because there's
that
gotta be a thing.
Pineapple on a pizza? Are those raisins?
That would be mine.
That would totally be mine. It's
Non-consensual
like, Oreo cookies. Are those raisins? Hateful.
That's messed up.
There should be an elite squad for non-consensual raisins.
I'm telling you. Misdemeanor dried fruit. It's a scourge, frankly.
I realize, though, this is the only time in the episode where Chad Lowe gets to meet and work with Margot Kidder. So he's like, hi, merkin or no merkin?
Can you imagine prepping that scene? They're just like covered with Caro syrup. It's freezing. I mean, I know they're not really in New Jersey, but they're in, metaphorical New Jersey. And it's like, guys, get it in one.
I'm just thinking of poor Margot Kidder. She's like, I once got to be naked in bed with Christopher Reeve, and now I get you.
The lesser Lowe.
Yeah. No silver sheets, no super peen, nothing.
The fortress of solitude.
Went out to Niagara Falls with that heart-shaped bathtub situation. For fuck's sakes.
Yeah, you're no Man of Steel, if you know what I mean. All right, let's take a look at the real-life story that inspired this episode. It's time for Rip from the Headlines.
Can't wait.
You think you know who did it. You think you know who did it. But you don't know who did it. You don't know who did it. Rip from the headlines.
Plot points for this episode may have come from the bizarre crime spree of a suspect dubbed by the press as the Dart Man. In the summer of 1990, women walking in Midtown Manhattan reported getting stuck with a pin in their rear ends. Witnesses say the women were attacked from behind by a man blowing a small dart through a straw-like device. Police say the projectiles were regular sewing needles wrapped in paper to weigh the homemade dart down. Over a 3-week period, more than 50 women stepped forward to report getting hit in the arse with a dart. All of the victims had been well dressed, wearing either a skirt or shorts. Authorities say none of the needles had been laced or dipped in any hazardous materials. Working off a police sketch, detectives stopped Jerome Wright, who worked as a messenger in the Time Life building. In a lineup, 3 witnesses identified Wright in a pair of attacks. The judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation and determined he was fit to stand trial. Because no one was injured during the crimes, felony charges were later reduced to misdemeanors. Police never found the blowgun or other darts used in the attacks.
You mean they never found the straw? He literally threw it in the garbage.
A straw-like device. If that isn't fucking
literally a
cop
straw.
PR speak. Vehicle, utilize, straw-like device. It was a straw.
Spitball.
Is Big Straw going to sue you for libel? Just call it a straw.
He spitballed ladies with needles. Is what he did.
So many jokes.
There was a story, maybe it might be a little more on point because it happened in 1999, much closer to this episode. On point.
Put
of about
pin in
5
it.
attacks in the subway. Oh, geez. Somebody with a hat pin, but they never found who it was, and so as far as
that's probably what it was. This is 2000. That was 99. It was hat pins. That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
But this one's funnier.
This one's better to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
Police were puzzled because they couldn't figure out a motive for the crimes. They didn't believe that it was strictly sexual.
No, it's just funny. That was the motive.
Yeah.
He was trying to be funny.
How old was this dude?
I think he was like 35, 36.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He was just a dick. And he
Okay.
thought it would be funny.
All
I'm
right.
guessing that was the motive. I mean, I'm not saying it was funny. I'm guessing he thought
I mean,
it would be
it's kind of funny.
Well,
since no harm was done, it's sort of funny.
Sort of funny. Prosecutors claim that Wright said it was immoral for women to wear short skirts and unnatural for a man to look at a woman's legs and get aroused.
Oh.
So it is true the women were asking for it.
Yes. I mean, that's also funny. I mean, okay, so I'm not saying he thought it was funny, and I'm not saying what he thinks is funny, but objectively, that whole shit is very funny because he is actually looking at them when he is doing the thing, right?
Well, yeah, you're saying there's no logic to it?
So he's doing the thing that he says people shouldn't do in order to punish people for the thing he says people shouldn't do.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny. It is. I'm sorry. It just is. Like, I would love to be one of his parents, like, in a room with him. Just
No,
being
you
like,
wouldn't.
Jerome, let's have some lasagna and a conversation about what you did. Let's talk about how fucking stupid it was.
So none other than the tabloid rag The New York Times ran a story about how women were changing their summer fashions from skirts to Bermuda shorts because of the Dart Man. They referred to capri pants as, quote, protective clothing. By the way, the guardian angels...
Protected from being sexy.
Yeah.
Or presentable.
It saves you from all kinds of pricks.
Well, and also, Jesus fucking Christ, like, how long did that last? 3 hours in a New York summer? No.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The Guardian Angels passed out dart avoidance tip sheets, which included tips like, don't be a skank.
That sounds on brand for them.
Yeah. They also posted signs that said, Dart Man, turn yourself in before we make a dartboard out of you.
Oh, my God.
Ew, shut up.
The Guardian Angels.
How'd you like something to stick a pin in you? One of those trees from the Wizard of Oz, you know?
They should put out like Guardian Angel avoidance tip sheets is what they should do.
God.
By the way, they spelled Dartman as one word, like the AP style guide, which had it as 2 words.
Was there also a dance? Like, do the Dart Man?
Was there a Dart Man signal in the sky? Like that they put out, with the light?
It's just the peach emoji. Beware. Dart Man.
He was collared by 2 cops who were part of, I'm not kidding, the Dart Attack Task Force, which they created. These are 2 guys who sat in a cab and watched people go by all day in Times Square. But when he was arrested on his perp walk, the press shouted, "Hey, Dart Man! Dart Man!" Which was got to be embarrassing for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But it did foretell the coming of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think.
Shart Man.
Oh, God.
So Wright told investigators there is a place where they shoot women with darts who wear provocative clothing to punish them and then throw them in volcanoes. That place is called Texas.
That place is called Scientology, is what it's called.
That place is called Before the Internet. I have to wonder what would have happened if Dartman had tried to enact his reign of whatever the fuck this is, like 7 years later, like on a dial-up connection. He's like, you know what? There's a place that you could go with these feelings. It's called Penthouse Magazine, and we encourage you to subscribe.
Today it's called Reddit. Yeah. That is going to do it for us. I want to thank our guest, Sarah D. Bunting. Sarah, where can our listeners follow you online?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'd love you to follow me on Instagram at Sarah D. Bunting, and you can listen to my podcast, Extra Hot Great. That's on all the socials at Extra Hot Podcast.
And Rebecca Lavoie, how can our listeners follow you?
I'm pretty much everywhere. You can see Lego creations, dogs, and learn about all my podcasts at Reb Lavoie.
And you can track me on Twitter at Kevin P. Flynn. You can also tweet to us at Law & Order Pod or follow us on Instagram at These Are Their Stories Podcast. Our newsreader was Cy Frater. Our theme music was composed and performed by Uncanny Valleys. Content assistance from Travis Roy. Lily Flynn handles promotions. To get ad-free episodes of These Are Their Stories a week early, sign up for Stitcher Premium. All clips in this podcast were used in compliance with the U.S. Copyrights Act fair use exemption for criticism and commentary. Go to lawandorderpodcast.com and sign up for our newsletter for a chance to be our next Law & Order Marathon winner. These Other Stories was recorded in the new name Treehouse Yoga above the Mockingbird Cafe in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi studio and is a production of Partners in Crime Media.
Partners in Crime Media.